Hey everyone, it's Carissa here at Sprinkled with Glitter. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am showing you a really easy and fun technique that features some acetate and acrylic paints, and that is what you are seeing on that big city background there. It gives such a cool effect. But before I jump into that, I did want to mention that these products are brand new from the Essentials by Ellen line, available exclusively at ellenhutson.com. So you'll want to be sure that you run on over to my blog and check out all of the projects that I created with this release, because there are some fantastic new products in there. So I am starting out with this Big City Die and a piece of acetate. This is the Essentials by Ellen acetate, and it is my favorite acetate of all time. And when I die cut acetate, I like to use a metal shim to give it a little extra pressure as it goes through my die cut machine. So I've run that through my die cut machine, and you're gonna see that this acetate die cut beautifully with that Big City Die. Now it's kind of hard to see the silhouette here, but as I move on throughout this card, you're gonna see this really cool city background. Now, this die doesn't cut the edges. It just kind of cuts to the edge of your card front. So I'm just taking it over to my trimmer and trimming this down so that I have a nice clean edge on both the right and left side of this city. And I've left plenty of room along the bottom so that I can make it as high or as low as I want on my card front. And you can see, here's my acetate here. You can see that city skyline a little bit better. And there are windows in this, and it's a really cool die. And I'm gonna combine it with the Good Times stamp and die set here in just a bit, and it's so much fun. Now I am taking some acrylic paint and I am adding it onto a piece of acetate. This acetate is just acting as a palette. You can use whatever slick surface that you want as your palette. And I stole these acrylic paints from my daughter and she was not happy about it. I showed her what I created, and she thought it was really cool what I had created, but she did not think it was cool that I stole her acrylic paints to do this. So I went out after I created this project and I bought my own acrylic paints because I enjoyed this so much and I think the effect is so cool. I've actually left this in real time because you're gonna see how quick and easy this is. Now I have my piece of acetate that's die cut here, and I've turned it over to the back side, and I have a damp paintbrush here, not super wet, just damp. And you can see I'm actually mixing some of those colors on this acetate. So I have that apricot color and that pink color. I've kind of mixed it together. And then I grabbed some of the apricot by itself, and I'm just swiping this down the acetate. Now, I'm not always cleaning my brush between the colors. It just kind of depends. If I don't want one color to overtake the other, then I'll dip it in the water and kind of wipe it up on the paper towel there. But this is super easy, super fast. And you can see I'm going in and I'm kind of mixing the two colors that are kind of sitting by each other on that acetate palette. And then I'm just swiping it down this acetate here. Now this would work with any acrylic paint that you might have. And I'm moving over into the green here, but I'm gonna mix a little bit of that green with a little bit of that yellow to kind of soften that down a little bit. And then I'm just gonna make sure that as I run my brush down this acetate piece, I'm just gonna kind of let the colors overlap. Now acrylic paints, they have to be wet for them to kind of mix and meld together. So once these dry, they're in place, and that's the end of the story. But if it's still wet on the acetate, you can allow these to kind of overlap and blend here. Now I shouldn't have gone back into this pink because it kind of made mud when it mixed with the green. But in the end, it turned out fine. And you can see this really cool streaky dry brush effect that I get on that acetate. And I've just set it aside to dry, and I'm gonna go ahead and work on the other pieces of my card. Now, a couple of things that you wanna keep in mind as I emboss my sentiment here that says, "Keeping it wheel," which I think is so much fun. You're gonna want to paint on the back side of your acetate, because once this dries, you can scrape it off with your fingernail. But if you have it on the back side and that back side is facing your card front, it will stay protected from being scraped or scratched. Also, this acetate, once you put that acrylic paint on it, it has a little bit of opacity to it, not full opacity as you can see here, but it has enough opacity that if you're putting this on a white card base, you can actually add a little bit of foam adhesive behind this if you strategically place it and help kind of keep that raised up off of that card base there. So I've taken this over to my trimmer and I've trimmed it down to be a more narrow city scene. And I'm going to trim a little off the bottom. Now this piece here, I'm going to save and I'm going to use that on another card. And you're going to see pictures of that card here in just a bit. And I am going to use some foam adhesive to adhere my sentiment strip along the bottom of the cityscape scene. Now I went ahead and colored and cut out a scooter from the Good Times stamp set. And I have a double layer of foam adhesive on that, and I'm kind of positioning everything, but I want to point out, do you see that really cool dry brushed effect that you get with this acetate and that acrylic paint? It is so cool, and I think you could do a lot with this. And I think it's a lot of fun to kind of hide your foam adhesive behind elements like a sentiment strip or a die cut element to kind of keep this acetate raised off that card front and really let that translucency show. So I've added my sentiment strip there on the front using some foam adhesive, and then I hid some foam adhesive behind that area as well. And then I've attached it to my card front here. And then I'm going to remove the backer from the double layer of foam adhesive on my little scooter here, and I'm going to press that onto the acetate piece as well. Now, as I mentioned, I went back and added a couple little pieces of foam adhesive behind that city backdrop there, and you cannot see it at all because that foam adhesive is white on white, and that acrylic paint on that acetate is opaque enough to kind of hide that from view. And I love the bright colors and that really cool kind of transparent, kind of not look that you get by adding this acrylic paint to the acetate. And do you remember that little strip that I trimmed off the bottom? I used it on a very simple card featuring the Squeeze the Day stamp set, which is also a part of the brand new June 2019 release from the Essentials by Ellen line. I did a little ink blending and a little stamping on the background just to give it a little bit of color and texture. And then I stamped my sentiment and I just kind of curved it around that orange slice there to give the effect like I'm giving them a squeeze or a hug, which I think is a lot of fun. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube, but head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. As always, thanks for stopping by and joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of my card making video tutorials here. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.